South Africa, 10 hours at least without power every day. The United States ambassador accusing us of giving arms to Russia. Our rand tumbling, the cost of living squeezing us ever harder. Tough times indeed. It feels as if we are at a do or die moment. But we have, as a country, come back from the brink of disaster before. In 1993, SACP leader Chris Hani was assassinated in the driveway of his Dawn Park home. While negotiations to end apartheid had restarted, freedom was by no means guaranteed, and the murder of Hani could so easily have derailed peace. The incredible leadership displayed in the days after that assassination is the focus of a new book, The Plot to Save South Africa. It's written by former colleague and political analyst Justice Malala. And Justice joins us now from New York. Justice, always so wonderful to speak to you, and congratulations on the new book. You know, releasing a book at a time like this, we know it's the 30-year anniversary of the assassination, but it's so interesting where we find ourselves as a country. Do you see parallels between the time Hani was assassinated and where we are today? Obviously, massively different issues at place, but our future arguably also once more on a knife's edge.
Absolutely, Sally, and thanks so much for having me and to talk a bit about the book and South Africa today. But, you know, we are absolutely at a crossroads, just as we were 30 years ago. And I think the key thing, the linkage here for South Africa, for all of us as citizens of South Africa, as patriots, as ordinary people, the key thing is, do we have the leaders to chart the way forward, to say, okay, yes, this is it's absolutely right to be in the depths of despair, but that we can push out, we can show you a better South Africa in a year, in 2 years, in 10 and 15 years' time. I think this is that moment. It's a leadership moment. It doesn't matter the challenge that we face, whether it's the Eskom blackout, it's the diplomatic issues that we've dumped ourselves in. It's all those. But where is the leadership? And if we can find that leadership moment, then I think we will be fine and we'll get through this. But that is absolutely key.
You speak a lot about ethical leadership and how crucial that was for navigating through that very difficult time. Do you see in today's South Africa any leaders who are prepared to do the tough work of leadership? And you describe it in your book as, and I quote, messy, unglamorous, and hard.
It is hard, but I sadly, you know, before we started, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure. Why is it ethical leadership in this moment today would be to be open and honest with South Africans and say, yes, a ship docked in South Africa in Simonstown last month, in December. Arms may have been loaded onto that ship, and we are angry about this, and we are going to investigate and find the people who did it. If it's within our government, we'll fire them, and so forth and so forth. One of the key things about ethics and ethical leadership is actually being able to say we will act against our own comrades, our own people, if we are found wanting, and we will change and change for the better. The key thing that I see in the crisis, the diplomatic kerfuffle that we are in right now, is that I don't see the word of the ethical leaders coming through saying, what happened was wrong. There is a lot of, if you have evidence, show it to us, and so forth. We should be angry that we may have armed a nation that is at war, that has attacked a smaller neighbor that is defenseless against it.
And if we read the president's sort of weekly newsletter, he spoke about the fact that we're a sovereign country, pretty much saying we have the right to be non-aligned, as we do. But of course, the pushback is we're not acting non-aligned at all. You know, just over the weekend, when Cyril Ramaphosa, I think he was speaking to the ANC, and he said, I had a discussion with Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, and everyone there started cheering that he had been speaking to the Russian president. Is he a bad leader, or is he trying to lead a party that fundamentally is at odds with where the country needs to go, or where even he thinks the country needs to go?
I think there's nothing with the ANC as a party and South Africa as a country choosing to support Russia. If it does so, it must be open and honest about it, and citizens must say we support you or we don't support you. The key thing for me with what has happened over the past few months, in fact, since February with the invasion, the illegal invasion of Iraq, the illegal invasion of Ukraine by Russia, is that we have spoken the language of non-alignment, but walked alongside Russia. For example, President Ramaphosa said, oh, we want to broker peace between the two. Actually, there was no brokering of peace. There was support for Russia. And only months and months later was there any contact between Ukraine and South Africa. Even the ambassador to South Africa, the Ukrainian ambassador to South Africa, was given the cold shoulder. And it continues. The ANC at its conference had a resolution saying the United States provoked the war in Ukraine, which is totally untrue. The Russia invaded and said it's denazifying Ukraine, and so forth and so forth. So this is unethical in my view, and what is even more unethical is that we speak of a country that is non-aligned. Well, if you look at the interactions, you referred earlier to the leader of our ground of South Africa's armed forces being in Russia at the moment. Just 2 weeks ago, the ANC had a huge delegation in Russia. The ANC is in full contact, it's open business between Russia and South Africa. And so let's be honest about it. Let's not beat about the bush. Let's not pretend to be non-aligned when we are clear as a country and the ANC as a party that it is for Russia and it's acting in this war, which is an illegal invasion of a neighbor. It's acting for Russia.
I'm going to ask you two questions in one because I've run out of time. So I'm going to make the timekeeping your problem. You know what it's like in broadcasting. But we have seen Ruben Brigitte say, basically regretting his tone, but not actually stepping back from his accusations. Neither has he been sanctioned by his boss, Antony Blinken. So would you say that this issue is not actually resolved and that we could see worsening relations, perhaps, with the United States? And you didn't quite answer my question about whether there's any sort of glimmer of hope for an ethical leader to get us through this crisis.
My firm belief is that relations between the United States and South Africa will worsen. They will worsen because we have some tacit admissions from the South African side that indeed arms may have been loaded onto that ship in December. The first one is the Minister of Finance, Godongwana, on Sunday, saying that we don't know about this, but if it happened, we've had other leaders in our government saying, we don't know about this. So our response as a country, South Africa, has been that we don't know. We will go check. We will go find out. We'll appoint a judge. My view is that South Africa does not want to say categorically that this has not happened. This will be a huge problem when the evidence is presented and comes out that indeed this may have happened. Do I see a light at the end of the tunnel? I believe that if we have a rethink as a country at the moment and we say this is not the right way, we should be going a different direction, yes, there is hope, there is a chance. Unfortunately, I think that if you begin to game this situation, the key thing here is that South Africa could say we're cleaning up and we're going the non-aligned route, the real, true non-aligned route, or it could say, the US is bullying us and we're going to get closer to Russia. If we go closer to Russia, there will be many, in my view, things that will be a challenge for South Africa. And therefore, the situation over the next few years and months will be harder rather than better.
All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us. Always a pleasure to chat, coming to us live from New York. Justice Malala and his new book, The Plot to Save South Africa, which talks about those difficult days after the assassination of Chris Hani 30 years ago, has been released. Thank you so much, Justice. Now let's pick